I had a professor who was a concert percussionist who was talking about on snare drum for the buzz rolls, they wanted to make it so that the buzzes sounded consistent. So rather than just kind of like having an indeterminate amount of strokes in the right hand with an indeterminate amount of strokes in the left hand, you make it so that they have the exact same number of strokes. So in particular, it's going to be 3 strokes. And so the way that I worked this up was going right, left, both. To make it so that the strokes were the same. Now this is one single stroke, and I'm just kind of using the bounce to get these in here. To make it so that they are consistent. You do them together because you don't want to have like, if it sounds like a weird crush flam, then you're not playing them both consistently between the 2 different hands. And then eventually got my 3 strokes faster. It's a control bounce stroke. So when you're doing this, I'm not wristing every single one of these. And I'm still trying to just get 3 in each hand as you go faster and faster. And then you slow back down. So instead of doing a flam 5, you can actually make those 3 strokes and make them flam 7s. You can do that with any type of rudiment that has a diddle on it and just make it. Instead of cheese inverts, you have a 3s invert, whatever you want to call it. Fun little thing you can do with any kind of rudiment that's got a diddle. Alternating flams is a fun way you can work on your accents and taps. This particular play along can go as slow as 40 beats a minute all the way up to 200. And there are several hundred more grid variations that are available for free on the link on the screen. Something that was recommended to me by Jeff Queen, who is, I believe, a 4-time world champion snare drummer. So I got a couple of lessons from him. Dude can play. So he recommended starting off extremely slow, like 20 or 40 or whatever, and going up a few clicks at a time. And if you really have the time and the patience, go 1 click at a time. So to get from 20 all the way up to, I don't know, 100 beats a minute, it would take you an hour and a half just to get through that. But if you spend an hour and a half just refining this, going 1 click at a time, you will get so much better at your playing. On my website, so like if you go to this lesson section, under this playlist for the live stream drum practice sessions, the last stream that I did a few days ago, so I started at 20, and then eventually I was going up a little bit. It was at 25, and then I was a little bit faster, then we got to 50, and eventually I started going up by 5s or 10s, etc. So if you want to like really get good at your technique, go up by 1 click at a time, and that is how you can like really refine stuff. Let's see, the last time I was at the beach, I think was 2017 for Thanksgiving. It was in Hawaii, which was beautiful. And I was sitting at the beach working on my dissertation because I could not take a break. It worked out well. Dissertation turned out good, but I should have spent that week with family instead of, grinding out the dissertation. But such is the life of somebody who's trying to just constantly improve. Sometimes there's sacrifices. I learned from it though. Next time I go to the beach, I will not be working on that dissertation. Yay! So as a drumline, the first thing that we started off with was doing just buzzes for like a minute or 2. This is a great way to get the blood flowing in your hands, get everything moving and whatnot. And then after a minute or 2, the center would start playing 16th notes with different stickings. The whole drumline would shift over from buzz rolls into the 16th notes and the flams, etc., etc. Center snare would then do some kind of a, like, adding in diddles to it. That basically told the line, hey, now you can play some diddles. After a minute or 2 of that, the center would then play a measure of 16th notes, and then a measure of double strokes, going back to singles, doubles, singles, etc., and then gradually speed up and slow down. The purpose for this was to warm up the hands first with the buzzes, then the 16ths and the flams, and then we are going to warm up listening in, slowing it down and speeding it up, so that way everybody is forced to listen into the center. This is VK54 spree. The play along can go as slow as 20 beats a minute, or as fast as 160. Tag me on this account to show me how fast you can play it. Just use the link on the screen to find it. There are many different ways that you can play flams. So in rudimental, what's typically happens is you just kind of like drop the note in from the, or rather place the note in from the starting resting position. So whenever you do this, no matter how loud or soft your primary note is, it's always going to just kind of like go down like this. You don't want to... In concert percussion, it's usually about half the height of whatever your primary note is. So your grace note will just constantly move like this with your primary note when you're doing this. And the distance between the grace note and the primary note changes depending on how big the head is, as well as the style that you're playing this. So the bigger the head, the more open your flams are going to be. Like if you hear a bass drum flam, like a rudimental bass drum, it might sound like that as opposed to cha, like on a snare drum. Drumming ASMR. I entertain myself. Now, if you want to play along to the exercise that I was just demonstrating, just go to jaredoleary.com/drum. There's over 500 grid variations, as well as 1,200 hours of free play-along content that'll keep you busy for a while. Now, you notice when I'm doing this, I'm slowing it all the way down to 40, and I'm spending the better part of this hour just working on one thing and really refining it. I highly recommend setting aside the majority of your practice stream to something that you are actively trying to improve, rather than just kind of like playing whatever you want. Plan it out, and it will work for you better in the long run than if you just kind of, I don't know, what am I going to play today? I don't know. Use data from your prior practice sessions, I can't speak, to inform how you can improve. So that grid variation is great for working on your inverts or your upstrokes, but there's 600 more grid variations. Play along. That was fun. Something I used to do back when I marched snare. Take our exercises and everybody start on a different partial. Sometimes it'd be like a different beat, or sometimes it'd literally be like start on the one, the E, the and, the